Hello, listeners. Welcome to Plano's Political Pitbull Podcast. I am Esther.
And I'm Ruth, and I sound weird because I'm getting over a cold.
Yes, poor Ruth. We are taping this a day later than usual because yesterday she had no voice. Well, today we have some important legislative updates and some news on Plano. First, the Texas legislative update. A bill that we are following is set to go to the floor of the Texas House tomorrow. That is May 20th, 2025. This is SB 840. Yes, 840. This is the bill that, if passed, would allow commercial zoned property to be converted to residential without going to planning and zoning. Do you remember this one? Do you remember that one?
No.
No. This was the one where the mayor of Georgetown said they could have 1 million apartments with this legislation. It would basically destroy the suburbs.
There were a bunch of these that were really similar to each other. I don't know.
No, this one is the worst of them all. Well, that's going to the floor tomorrow. So please call your House Representative's office in Austin and tell them to vote no on SB 840. Keep zoning under local control. The locals know what is best and what they can handle, not those in Austin. SB 15 is still in the Calendars Committee. That is actually the committee that sets the calendar for the House floor. That bill was the max lot size bill of 1,400 square feet. And SB 878, this is my all-time favorite bill. This requires a 15-day public notice and public hearing for all economic development agreements with a city, and it is stuck in the House Ways and Means Committee. It has still not had a hearing. So please email the chair of the Ways and Means Committee, Morgan Mayer. You can find his official website on house.texas, that is Texas spelled out, house.texas.gov, and click on the members tab and look for Representative Morgan Mayer, spelled Meyer. We have those boarding house by right bills. HB 2797 and its companion 1567, SB 1567. They are in the Calendars Committee right now, and you can email the Calendars Committee members. You have to go to the Texas House of Representatives website, and you can look up the committees and who's in the committees. I wish what they would do is they would have an email directly for the whole committee. Right now you have to go to each member's email and their little home page and click on their email and then fill it out one by one. Or you could call their offices. So the last one I'm going to bring up is HB 3187 and the companion SB 1557. This is the DART bill.
I remember this one.
Yes, this one had a committee hearing in the House. And this would let cities use 25% of their contributions to DART for mobility and infrastructure. like roads, those types of things. The House bill has been sent to calendar, so that's a good thing. Probably will get to the floor. The Senate version is stuck in the Transportation Committee. So we need to get that out of the Transportation Committee. That is Angela Paxson's bill. And you can email the Senate Transportation Committee as well. Tell them to have a hearing on that. So they had a hearing on the DART. They had over 200 witnesses come and testify on that bill, I think. It went until 1 o'clock in the morning. I could never do this job. I like to get sleep, and sometimes these people don't sleep. They're up until all hours of the night.
Maybe that's why their brains are cooked.
Maybe. Well, they're only there every other year, so one would think they would be able to recover. What was interesting was our very own Mayor Munns showed up and he testified. I was pleasantly surprised. Couldn't get his little tuchus down there for any of the zoning bills, but okay, got himself down there for the DART one. And these witnesses, they really were blaming Plano for this. Apparently, Plano, they said, started this whole thing. A lot of people who testified were from Dallas, which makes sense. Dallas has the most ridership. They have the most lines. We contribute the most money, but Dallas and other cities have the most routes. So he got down there and he explained that we're not getting our money's worth. We're not getting what we're paying into it. And he would like to be able to use some money to actually give us some services that DART is lacking. I've been on the trains. I think the trains are fine. They get us into Dallas and back. The problem Plano has is the buses. The buses are empty. They're too slow. The routes are sometimes longer than it would take walking. So they're not utilized as much within the city of Plano. And now a lot of people aren't just going to Dallas. They're going within the city of Plano. The train is not going to work for us. The bus is going into Dallas isn't going to work for us anymore. So we'll see what happens with that bill. All right, now we're going to move over to Plano. Plano did a stream bank stabilization study last year. It took them a whole year to do this study. Well, apparently we have a lot of creeks and streams. So we have 3,000 areas of streams and creeks that are experiencing erosion. So the streams, they're very nice. The creeks are very nice, but the sides are eroding.
Yeah, that usually happens when you have any type of rushing water up against rock.
Right. So 70% of the areas that these creeks and walls that are eroding are owned by the city. 6% are owned by HOAs, and 24% are individually owned. Now, personally, I don't know how anyone can own a creek. You can't. But if you have a house that happens to have a creek behind it, sometimes, depending on how it's plotted out, you could own that part of the creek wall. And the city has said that you are responsible for fixing it. Total costs for all the repairs, for those that are critical, and critical meaning they better be fixed now, $10,300,050.
So we're trying to fight against nature is what we're doing.
Oh, but it gets
This
worse.
is a very natural thing that happens.
Yes.
I mean, it was inevitable.
And then if we're going to go to the high to medium scores, meaning they might be able to wait, they're not critical yet, they don't need to be fixed right away, that is $150 million.
So these creeks and rivers that you're talking about where they need to be fixed, are these like, why do they need to be fixed?
I'm getting there. They're eroding.
Because I'm thinking of like a natural creek where you have, you know, the sides of dirt and rock, you know.
Yeah. Well, let's say you're in development and it has a creek. Now, the creek was there before the homes.
Yeah.
And somebody decided, it would be a great idea to build a house in front of the creek, right?
Okay.
Or next to it. Well, if you are having erosion, if that wall is starting to give way, eventually the house could end up in the creek. Or the backyard could end up in the creek.
The creek wants to be bigger, okay?
Yeah. So that's the problem.
And humans are like, no, you can't get any bigger.
Some things that we can do to pay for this bill is stormwater fee would have to increase. It would have to go up to $8.94. That is to fix everything that it would be owned, that's owned by the city.
How are they gonna fix it?
I don't know how. Bricks, a wall, I don't know. That is above my pay grade. But they can be fixed.
Putting more stones at it, what?
Yeah, they'll put more rock and stone and concrete in to shore up the sides so that the ground doesn't cave in on itself.
That's gonna erode over time too. Did you know that?
It will, unless they can come up with a permanent solution. So if they were to fix, or include everything that was HOA owned, city owned, and owner owned, then the stormwater fee for us as the taxpayers would go up to $11.11. Our stormwater fees, whatever they do, they're going to go up drastically. So they're going to establish some kind of a fee structure. So this has been an issue that has come to light, partly because residents have come and say, my backyard is falling into the creek. The creek is all of a sudden getting closer to my backyard. And they'll have structural engineer come out for the city, and they'll say, yep. And then they got to look up who owns it, and they realize, oh, the HOA owns it. Oh, no, this is actually owned by the people who live in front of the creek. Okay, how much is this going to cost to fix? Oh, $1 million.
This is a random question.
We don't have, yeah, go ahead.
But if a creek gets big enough, does it become a river?
I have no idea.
It just popped in my head. I couldn't resist asking it.
Mm-hmm. So the homeowners who are responsible for this say, we can't afford that. Hold on, wait a minute. This was not in the deal. I wasn't aware of this. So I wrote down what one speaker said. He was the president of a homeowners association. And I wrote down basically what he said because I thought that this was very interesting and important. So the president of the Hills of Indian Creek, HOA, spoke. And he said, 40 years ago, when the development was built, the city and the developer of 122 houses assigned long-term erosion responsibility to an HOA. That did not exist at the time. After 40 years, massive development has occurred around them. The city now discharges stormwater from the roads, the alleyways, parking lots, and even parts of Willow Bend into their creek. The volume of water has grown well beyond what the creek was ever meant to handle. The result is erosion has significantly increased, caused by citywide development and infrastructure. Yet the HOA is responsible, or an individual homeowner. It is unfair and unsustainable. The owners pay monthly drainage fees to the city to manage stormwater infrastructure. This should include the full stormwater path. This is not a problem we caused and should not have to bear the full responsibility. The HOA is asking the city council place responsibility for residential stream bank maintenance and erosion control where it belongs, with the city.
I love when humans try to control nature. It's so funny to me.
So, this is my take on it. For some reason, the city, way back, decided that this creek, even though the citywide uses the creek, that these homeowners are going to be responsible for taking care of and maintaining a creek.
Well, they were the ones that bought the house that was next to the creek.
Yes. However, that'd be fine if it was just their water. And 40 years ago, when it was built, what was out there? A bunch of fields. And the fields soaked up a lot of the water. That it didn't go into the creek. Well, fast forward to today, and you had a lot of people decide, let's build. Oh yes, we're going to build a mall. We're going to build Plano West. We're going to build all kinds of development.
And we're going to speed up this erosion.
That's what the man is basically saying. Now we have nothing to soak up the water. The water is got to go somewhere. So it travels down to the creek and it goes through there. And they say that sometimes they've got rushing water that this creek was never meant to handle. And now they've sped up the erosion. The homeowners didn't do this. The HOA didn't do this. The city did this. The city did this without thinking.
As they normally do.
Yes.
As people normally do.
Mm-hmm.
We love not to think.
Yeah. If the city wanted this area near this development, near this creek, to be developed into high density, they had to take into consideration, or should have taken into consideration, where is the water that is getting sopped up by the grass going to go? What is that going to do to this creek or all of our creeks?
That's what we call runoff.
Exactly, that's runoff. The runoff is going into the creek. The creek was never meant to handle that much runoff. I think the responsibility is on the city. The homeowners didn't tell the city, hey, you know what? Yeah, build over there these massive developments that are going to make our creek erode. It's not our water. It's not our storm water. It's the storm water that to the north of us.
I mean, to
That's
be fair,
your responsibility.
to be fair, I know it's not their fault, but let's be fair here. Nobody thought in this entire process, the city who built it, and the homeowners who decided, yeah, this is a great place to buy a home.
Me personally, I would not buy a home near water. I'm afraid of floods. That's just, and snakes. But that's just me. But yeah, some people,
Nobody thought long term.
No.
For some reason, we suck at that.
Mm-hmm. We did. Well, this is now causing big problems because the homeowners can't sell their homes. One person wanted to sell her house, and she had an offer. People did their due diligence and realized there was a question. I guess they did a survey, and there was a question about who's responsible for the creek. And she was like, I'm going to go home. The prospective buyer was like, oh no, I'm not doing that. So this is causing a problem for young families who want to move in and for older people who want to downsize. Interestingly, the council had mixed views on this. Rick Horn, he was fine with increasing drainage fees and wants the city to take responsibility. Thank you, Councilmember Horn. So Anthony, he felt that the city, if it was going to take responsibility, it needed to own the land. It needed to basically, buy it, I guess. If the creek is owned privately, then the city should buy it. And then fix it. Nobody knows, by the way, why the city and the developer decided that it would be good for the homeowners to basically own this infrastructure. Because it's infrastructure. Apparently nobody can find that out. Nobody knows where that is. Councilman Williams said he was tracking the issue. And he felt that what they meant by being responsible for the creek was probably landscaping, falling trees, but not erosion. Because it's too expensive. Nobody can pay $1 million to fix a creek. So Councilman Williams, he thought we should take these waterways as infrastructure, and we were not staying on top of this, and we need to fix it. And it basically address the erosion now. Interestingly, Prince did not want the city to take full responsibility, but share the cost. I totally disagree with her. I think the city is responsible for this because it's the one that approved all of the new development. But for the development, the creek would not be eroding at the level it is. Unfortunately, two agreed with the others, and she likes the idea of taking ownership of the banks and wants to fix the critical ones now. And Homer, she really, just asked about the value of the homes and what kind of impact this has on the value of the homes. And I think the way she was leaning was she was for fixing this. But whether the city shares the costs or whether they take the whole burden, our storm drainage fees are going up. So get ready for another tax, folks. To go.
Yay, taxes.
They should have not dropped the ball on this. This should have not just been brought to their attention by a bunch of homeowners who were having problems with the creek that's in the back of their house.
That's actually how.
That's what happened.
That's actually how a lot of problems are addressed.
Yeah, well, we have people who go around the city. They're supposed to be, looking at these things.
We've let this problem fester for years, and now it's suddenly becoming an actual problem. So now we're going to address it.
Pretty much, yeah. I do not think that it is fair for middle-class homeowners to bear any kind of responsibility on this. This is not their fault. If we are going to use their creek to run our stormwater, then they should have been getting a fee for the usage. They never did. So it's our responsibility. If it's their own creek, if it's their property, and the whole city is using it, then technically they should be getting a fee from the city for using their creek. But they never did. Why you laugh? You scoff.
Because if that's the case, then the city's using private property.
It is using private. That's what they said. Well, this is private property. Well, you're using my private property. On to our very important dog, Miss Gemma. She is a friendly dog who is about 3 years of age. She's very sweet and so playful too. Gemma will make a great companion for you. She was never claimed by her owner and wants a new home. Gemma is an affectionate dog too. She is at the Plano Animal Shelter. And if you would like to see more of Gemma, please go to our website, planospoliticalpitbull.com, and click on the link Pitbulls for Adoption. So I have some exciting news.
What?
We have our very first sponsor.
Sorry, I can't be very enthusiastic right now. I'm not having a good time over here.
Okay. Well, if you were not under the weather, you'd be very excited about this too. So, our first sponsor is Southwest Pain Management. They have just moved to Plano and didn't need any economic development to help them. Yes, I checked. Southwest Pain Management takes care of most chronic pain needs without addictive pain pills, with the goal of getting you back to doing the things you love. They are also the leading long COVID treatment center in Texas. Dr. Groisman has patients fly in from all over the world to help alleviate problems resulting from COVID, referred to as long COVID. Please go to their website, reliefbeginshere.com, to see what they do. That is all the time we have for today, folks. Please like, share, and subscribe. This is Esther.
And this is Ruth.
For Plano's Political Pitbull, signing off.